Yeah, welcome to today's tutorial video on traffic intersection simulation and traffic flow control using Anylogic. For the past two, three videos, we've been making different tutorial videos on Anylogic. And the difference between this video and the previous video made is in the previous video, we made use of a map layout, that is introducing an image into the window of our Henny logic. Then we decided to build our model on it. But in this case, we're not going to be bringing in any image or any map layout into the any logic window. So we will draw everything on the plane window and we'll see how it interacts or how they interact. So the first thing we're going to be looking into here is the drawing of the road, and we are going to introduce our intersection, setting up every possible logic into the flow, and introduction of our vehicle flow, and we will also be looking into the 3D animation scale, and also we would have the the movement along every possible point in the four-way intersection, because this simulation will be will be on a four-way intersection. So without wasting much time, let us just get started with it. And the first thing we're going to do is to create a model, and in doing that we can name it anything. We can just call it traffic intersection model. So we have it. Then we change the model time here in units, we change it to minutes. So the traffic intersection model, this is already in minutes. Then we'll finish, then it will create a new model. Is the interface, and this is the window page of the Anylogic we're going to be making use of. And we know we are creating something regarding traffic intersection and traffic flow, so that means we'll be making use of the road traffic library, and we might also be getting some orders from the model library, also the process modeling library. But as it now, the first thing we are going to do is to be able to create our intersection, our road. That's the first step. The first step is to create the road, and in order to do that, we double click on the road. Then when we're drawing, we make sure that we're drawing coming to the point of the intersection. So for every of the 4 points intersections, or the roads we are going to be drawing, has to move towards the point of intersection. So in a nutshell, we are going to be having something like this. So can decide to stop here, then pick it up again. Yeah, yes, click on yes. So we also have that too. Then we can do for the other parts of the road also. So so then we have this. So then after having this, then the next thing is we need to edit the properties of each of those roads. And in order to do that, this we want to maintain a four-way intersection, and we want this to be a four lane, and this, the one in the north and the south, we want it to be um, a two-lane one way and two-lane one way. So at this point, if we want to edit any of the properties of each of the road, and we click on it, we check up on it on the under the properties. So clicking on this first one, then we're checking out the properties we have under it. If we want to increase the length of the road to a certain extent, then that can be done under the properties. So let me click on this review and check under the properties. So we have the properties here. So within this period, let me just try to change this to road. This is west, this is east. Let's change this to road east. And for the ones in the middle, we're going to be changing them to a 3 lane on the two sides, forward and backward. So we have here 3, and here is also 3. So if we want to introduce a medium strip color, that is in this middle part of the that differentiates the front forward lane and the backward lane, if we want to introduce a median strip, we can introduce it here with the color, and there it shows that we don't have any. But if we want to, and we want to check the number, the width, whether in meters or whatsoever, we can add. If we want it in 10, if we want it, for example, let's just say 10, then we'll see the effect on this. You can say the effect is here, showing that it has been increased. But for the sake of what we're doing today, we are not using that, so we'll keep it the way it is. So, and if we also want to increase the length, we want to increase the length, yeah, we can do that here, and we can also do that at the point position. If we want to increase the length of the road and the width of the road, x and y, we can do that at that point. So here we have changed, this is the road east, and here we have it as 3 lane for the forward lane and the backward lane. So we can also do the same for the other ones. So for this, we also change it to 3, the forward lane increase it to 3, the backward lane increase it to 3, and here will be road west. So W represents that, so the road west. And then we close that. Then we can do it for this under the properties. So like we said, we want this to be a one way, so it's going to be one way. Then we'll leave it as two. Number of forward lane is 2. So then this is road north. Then the last part here we have it as the road south. The road south, it is one way. So we have this as 2, then connect them up that way, then we close. So this is what we would have at the end of the day. So we can decide to centralize it, so both of them can be, so we can have something like this. But I think in order for us to have this, because when we tend to use a one way for the north and south, and a 3 lane which is a 2 way for this, it might not give us the best output. So let's try to make this a two way lane this way. Let's just leave it as a 2 lane, and the same thing for this also. Let's keep it as a 2 lane, like 2 way. So we have something like this. So at this point we can, if we want to increase, we can increase this here if we want to, and the same thing also for here, we can increase it at this point if we want to increase the length of the road. So when we have this, then we can decide to introduce our intersection. And in order to introduce our intersection, we can drag it into the layout and place it in between the 4 roads. And here is our intersection. You can just drag it and have it there. So now, after being able to introduce our intersection, the next thing is we need to let the first let it interlay on the intersection. We have this like this, or better still, we can just, after introducing our intersection, let us drag the intersection to meet this road. So when we do it this way, we have something like this. So if we want it to still extend in better, we can do that. But so after doing that, then so for the other parts, then we drag them into the point of intersection. So let's do this. We drag this. This is the road, so let's just drag it in this way. So we have something like this. But before we do that, let's introduce this first. So we have something like this. Then for this, you can we have this. Then this also. So at this point, we will be having something like this. So we can decide to zoom in to have a closer view of what we have here. So as we can see here, there are some default connections of the road we can see with the curved arrows and the linear curves and the linear lines here with arrows there. So showing the connections we have between the four roads after the introduction of our intersection. And some of this needs to be corrected, you know, some of them needs to be edited in order to achieve our preferred connection between the four roads. So without wasting much time, we can click on each of the side of the road that is supplying the vehicle flow into the network. We can just, for example, we have this we have this here. So when we click on the first one, we can see the connection. That means the flow of vehicles on this road will go here, and the right turn lane and the through lane, and that is perfectly okay. So we can click on the next one. So this also has a through lane, then has three left turn lane, but we don't need up to three. I think we can only just stay with one left turn, like just left turn lane into the first lane here on the west road. So then for the U-turn lane, we can just take out this, then this will remain. So when we click on it, it's automatically it leaves. So when we click on it again, you can see what we have: the true lane, we have the left turn lane, and we have the U-turn lane here also. So that is it. Then we move to this part of the road, the next one here. So we have three U-turn lanes. No, we don't want. We only want it moving to the first point here. And yes, on this part we have two of the turns here because maybe due to the demands on the road, because here is a three lane, due to the demands on the road here, so we can leave this as moving in the two lanes on the road on the south road. Yes, and also we have the true lane. So I think that is okay. So just to be sure, we click on it again. So we have the true lane, we have the U-turn lane, and we also have the left turn lane. So then we move to the on the side. Here only has the true lane, and that is exactly what we want. Moving to the last part here, we have the right turn lane, then the true lane, and that is okay. So we come here, so it has moving to the three lanes, which is not. We only need it moving to one true lane here, and the U-turn lane we only want one of it, and that is this. And we also have the true lane. Then the next one on this part, we have the true lane and the right turn lane, which is perfect. Moving here, we have many lanes, so these ones are okay, and the right true lane is also okay. So we just take out. We click on this to take it out. So then this is what we have at the end of the day. So we have the true lane, two moving into the left turn lane here, then we have the U-turn lane also. Then the next one, this is a true lane, which is perfectly fine. Then we have this one, the true lane, and also the right turn lane, which is awesome. So this is exactly what we want to achieve. This is the kind of traffic flow we want, the interaction between the four roads. So this is what we will be able to achieve. So we can see, if you've been following from the time we were looking into Sumo, we can see that there is a difference when we were setting up the traffic in the intersection using Sumo and that of Anylogic. There is a slight difference between the two. Even if the road construction, maybe probably we're using our nodes and our nodes in creating our roads when we're using Sumo, we can see it's also something similar to this under any logic. But when it comes to the level of interaction, but the editing of our intersection is a little bit different from Sumo. Though they are kind of a little bit similar, but still different one way or the other. So after when we've been able to do this, that means the next thing we are going to be doing is the introduction of our blocks. That is introduction of the car flow, the chat flow into the window. And in order to do that, we come under the road traffic library. We can say the first thing here is the car source. So we drag our car source into the window. And this time around, because we will be dealing with different connections, we will be using select output 5. I already explained the difference between select output 5 and select output. Select output only connects between just two connectors. It has only two connectors, but select output 5 tends to have a lot of connectors where it gives us the room to connect more than two roads. And for the sake of this, since we have more than two roads and we will be connecting more than two roads, we can just introduce our select output 5. So we go on, then we have select output part 5. We bring it into then after that we go back to our road traffic library and we introduce our car move to showing where the cars are moving to, where we have to show where the cars are moving to. Then the last part where we have to introduce is what we call the car dispose, that is leaving the model. So this is what we are going to be making use of now. So the first thing we are going to do, like we said, we have already named all the roads, which makes it very easier for us to identify them. So when we represent it based on the cardinals, this is the north road, this is the south road, this is the west road, and this is the east road. So the first thing we need to want to do is connecting the west road to the east road. But before we proceed with that, we need to change one of the properties of the road to a left lane. So what we need to do is we double click on this, then we go under the view, we go under the properties. So the traffic, are we going based on right hand or left hand? So we're making use of the left hand. So we keep it this way. It's left hand. So then we have something of this nature. But I think changing it from right hand to left hand has already changed. It has disrupted our connections, or it has disrupted our connection. So probably we have to quickly do that again quickly. So just sorry about that. So this is just to tell us that the moment we make some changes, it might affect. So we need to be careful when we are changing anything within the layout or within on the window. So just to be sure that nothing has been altered in the process of we changing or making some of these adjustments. So the I think the one of the mistake we made was we should have been able to change it from the right lane to the left lane, the traffic from right lane to left lane before we adjusted the flow at the point of intersection. So it went back to default the moment we did that. So so I think we have it all fixed now. So yes, so we have it all fixed. So like we said, coming back to the flow here. So the first thing is joining our connector to the select output, then from the select output to the car move to, then from the car move to the car dispose. Okay. So now where is the source coming from? We have to edit our source, the properties of our source. So since we said we want the movement from the west to the east, so that is the first thing we're going to be doing. So the source where it's moving from is going to be the west. Because it's west, we can just name it west that way. Then we have it as the road. So which road is it going through? On the road here. So that means it is the west. So we have the road west, and every other properties are still the same. We don't need to change anything. So it's still on the road west. So we so after that we did the select output 5. So what are we going to be doing under the select output 5? Yeah, this is the select output 5. You can see the probabilities giving us the 5 point, the connectors we have on the select output 5. But the first thing we want to do now is we are only creating for one of the source. So that means we can decide to turn every other source to 0, then just leave in one of the probabilities. So the rest, we just for now, we're just keeping it 0, 0, and this also 0. So but here put it at the probability 1 should be around 0.6 of the number of vehicle flow coming into that road. So we can leave this as 0.6, we can put it at 0.5, you can put it as 0.7, whatever it is. We just want to have a first view of what it's going to look like moving from the road west to road east. So we can then decide to we can go ahead to close this, then move to the car move to. So where's the car moving to? We know the car is moving from the west, moving to where is moving to the east. So we need to be able to show the movement to the east. So there is still going to be road to move to east, so you can just put it there, moving to east. So here we have it, 0.6. We've already done that, then we can close this properties. So we have the car move to. So where's the car moving to? We go under the edit, we go under the properties, and we change where are we moving. We're moving from the west to the east. So we should be able to show that. So we have the road here, we have this, so it's moving from the east, and here we have to change it to the backward lane because it's moving through the backward lane, then forward, then backward, then here we have to the east, move to east. So after editing this, we close it. So now we can run the model to see the behavior of the vehicles moving from the west road to the east road. So we can try to see the movements there. So let us run the model. So we can see the movement of the vehicles from the west road moving to the east road, because that is just the only thing we did, the movement from the west road to the east road. We have not done the other connectors of maybe the west road to the north road or to the south road. We are just trying the first one to see if everything works out fine, and as we can see, there is an easy flow movement of vehicles or cars from the west road to the east road. So since this is okay, we continue by connecting the other parts of the road. So at this point now, the only thing we've been able to do is the connection from the west road to the east road. But what we need to do is only going through the true lane. We want it to go through the right turn lane and also the left turn lane, also having the true lane. And in order to achieve that, we can just replicate this. You can just do copy, then paste another one here. Copy and paste. You can also paste another one. So so you can delete the connectors between them. We don't need those connectors. So what we want to do here is from the castles, the road west, we are connecting it to the east. We want to connect it to the north, and we also want to connect it to the south. So then everything going through to the car dispose. And in order to do that, we have to edit the properties of each of the other card move to that we've been able to create. So this we can say move to N, that is the north. So that means the road here will change to, we have to change it to north. So we have that sorted. Then we'll do the same with this, that is can move to the south, that is those coming through the right turn lane. So yes, this is the south. So we also change the name here to make it easier. So so now we've been able to do that. We've only had a connector to just one of these. So the other points of the connector, we can connect to this, connect to the car move to. Then from the car move to, we have it connected to the car dispose. Then the same thing goes for this. So this is one of the advantages. This is one of the advantage of select output 5. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has enough connectors we can use for multiple roads. So now that we've been able to do this, we still need to go back to the select output 5 and edit the properties, because we only did the probabilities for just one of the road, that is movement from the west to the east. So that is what we have here. So it's 0.6. So we can just keep the other ones as 0.2 is 0.2. So if you're going to say, why is it that we have the first probability as 0.6, which is higher than the other probabilities? When we go back to this point of intersection, we know the movement on the road when it comes to the true lane is always the number of vehicles moving through the true lane are more than those going through the right turn lane or the left turn lane. So that is why we have it that okay, that for the right turn lane, the true lane is 0.6. The probabilities of vehicles moving there is around the 0.6, and the probability of vehicles moving through the left turn lane and the right turn lane is 0.2, 0.2. So that is the reason behind that. So after when we've been able to do this, then we can close this. So that means we have it all sorted out, and we can run the model and see the simulation. So as we can see here, we can see the movement, the true lane to the left turn lane and also to the right turn lane. So we can see movements to the right turn lane. So we can decide to say the true lane, left turn lane, then right turn lane. So that shows that whatever thing we've done so far, it's okay. So vehicles are moving the true lane. We have more vehicles moving through the along the true lane compared or moving from the west to the east compared to those moving from the west to the south or west to the north. And that is exactly what we want. So now that we have been able to achieve this, then we proceed because we've already done the movement, the castles from every other road points to not just from for the west. So let's proceed with that. So now the next thing we want to do is to be able to create a cursors from the east going to the west. So we've been able to do create for west going to the east, the north road, and the south road. So we need to be able to create a cursors moving from the west to the east. And in order to do that, we can just create in order to create a new cursors, we can just copy this, then maybe come here, then paste. So we have this. So something similar, we can also copy this rather than going in here to pick them up again. So just come, then paste. So we have this, then we can copy this also, then paste. Now I'll be explaining some things here. The reason why we are creating a new one in which when we're doing for the other car sources to come, we might not be doing this is because we have the movement of cars from the west to the east. So we have the car move to for east, we have for north, we have for south, but we don't have for west among these three. So that is the reason why we are creating a new one for west so that we can have the car move to for west and we have for the four of them. So when we're creating for car source for the other road, will not be making use of um, a new point in that sense. So let's edit the properties here. So we have from west to east. So here will be is it so we have east. So that will be from east. So we have east. Yes. So that is east. So I think everything is okay. So we are moving from east to west now. So at this point we have then is moving to west. So we can also rename it here, move to west. Then we need to also go under the select output in order to edit that. So we have for other probabilities, but since we are not making use of all these other ones, so at least for now, we are only trying to show the movement from east to west. So we can take this. So let's edit it this way. So with that being said and done, we can proceed. So here we haven't done the connector. Let's connect it to this. Then this is been connected to this. Then this will move to the card dispose. So when we have this, then we can try to run the simulation. So we can see for the initial one we did from the west to the east, but now we are also having the movement from the east to the west. So you can see vehicles moving from the east here to moving to the west. The same way we have from the west to the east. But so far the only thing we did is the movement from the west to and east road to the west road. So we have not been able to configure that or edit the properties in order to accommodate the movement from the east road to the north road and also to the south road. So we are only doing it one at a time so that just in case if there is any error, we can be able to spot it in the process of the simulation. Like I said also before now, if there is any error in our chart flow, the simulation will not run. It will give an error message showing that there is an error in our chart flow in which we need to correct. But as it stands, it seems everything is okay. Then we can. So the next thing we are going to do now is the connection from the source of the east road we have already done to the west. So now we need from the east to the north and also the east to the south. We need to be able to connect it both to the north and also connecting it to the south, and from there all leading to the car dispose. So from the select output 5 we connect to the north. Then also from the select output 5, we connect to the south. So automatically from the road, the eastern road or the east road, we've been able to connect to the west, the south, and also the north road. So, and that is all we have here, and everything all leading to the car dispose. But we still need to go back to the select outputs to edit the probabilities because we only did probabilities from the east to the west. So we also need to be able to include that of the like we did here for the probability 1. So we need to be able to include that of this, so which is 0 0.2, 0 0.2, everything giving us 1 at the end of the day. So then so we have been able to connect this then. So now that means for the west road and the east road, they are interacting with the other three roads. So the east road is interacting with the north road, the south road, and the west road. And the west road, car coming from the west road are also interacting with the east road, the north road, and the south road. So let us run the simulation. So here we can see from the east road now, we have it, the true lane, and we would also see the interaction with the north road and also the south road. So we can see the interaction with the south road, and we have other vehicles also coming interacting with the north road. So that means we're still on track. We're still on track. So let's proceed. We've been able to integrate out of the north road, that is having the source from the east and having the source from the west and the east. So it's a high time for us to have a source from both the north and also the south. So next thing we're going to do, we already sorted our west, the east. So let's take out that of the north. So for the north, we need a new car source, definitely. So we can paste this. Then also the select output, which is also very important. We also paste this. So we have the two this way. So now we we can edit the properties of our cursors here. So this is west, this is east. So we want to introduce this can be north. And since we don't also have to forget the road here that we're changing to, it has to be to the north. That is the source, the north. So when that is done, now there is no need for us to create a new car move to. The reason being that when we have the north will connect with the south, it will connect with the east, and it will connect with the west. But we already have car move to for the north, south, and west. The reason why we had to create it in the case here is because we do not have any car move to the west. So that is why we had to create. But now that we have for the four roads, so it's just easier for us to just connect the connector, have the connectors to them. So we can have this to the west. So if we want from the north to the west, that is the first one, if that is what we want. So that means there will be movement, there will be much more movement from the north to the west, because based on our probability, except we are going to change that. Then after the movement to the from the north to the west, we have it to the south. Then we also have, if we can't have north north, so it has to be to the east. So we have something like this. So we don't need to forget to edit our select output also here. So we can go under the select output to be sure is it in order. So we can see our select output here is in order. So maybe if we want to still edit this, maybe reducing this to 0.4 and changing the rest to 0.3, 0.3, we can also do that. It all depends on whatever probability we decide to work with. So we can have this 0.3, 0.3, then 0.4. So we have it this way. So now that this has been sorted, so we have the connectors, everything all leading to this, then we can run the model and see the simulation. So we can see now we have vehicles coming from the north. So this is the north. We've been able to do that of the west and the east, but now this is the source from the north. We can see this vehicle coming from the north. So it shows that we now have the introduction of the north. Here we see the red car and the blue car coming from the north and interacting with the road. So this is going through the 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 left turn lane, and we have the introduction here. So that means so far we've been able to have west for the west road, the east road. Now we have for the north road, and the fact that the simulation is still running shows that everything we're doing is still right on track. And like I explained in the previous video too, if you want to put this in a 3D form, we can also do that in using the toggle development panel here. So just, but we have not included the 3D into the interface yet, so we can't have it yet. So here we have the introduction, like we can see. Then we can also do the same for the south, the introduction from the south. So movement that is source from the south road here, we also need to be able to do the same. In order to do that for the south, we will follow through the same process again, and involves, we are going to create the cursors for the south. So let me just copy this. So we create the cursors for the south, then also the select output for the south. So so we have that for the south in this manner. So this time around, we also edit the properties. So when we the properties, we have it as south, then the road here. So we also need to edit the road, that is road south. So we have it road south. So now that we have this sorted, then we also need to be able to connect. So we already have it from the south. So that means from the south, there will be movement to the north, to the west, and to the east. So let's connect to the west, to the north, and we also have to the east, to the east. So everything at the end of the day still leads to, and if we want to also change the probability, if we want to edit the probability, I think the default probabilities like we have here, and we have 0 0.4, 0 0.3, 0 0.3, so we can still decide to proceed with that. Then we can now see the whole interaction, having every source from every of the four roads interacting. So we so so now this is it. Then we can decide to run the simulation again. So we can see we have the source from here, we have vehicle source from here, vehicle source from here, and also vehicle source from here. So there we have all the sources now activated, and we still have it the model running. So that means there is no error. We are still right on track, and here we have it. You can see the simulation, the movement between the vehicles, and this is at the point of the right turn lane from the north. So you can see the interaction between them here. So after when that is done, the we move to the next step. So the next phase we'll be having now is the introduction of our traffic light. So in order to have the traffic light in, we have it here. This is our traffic light. So we'll drag it close to the intersection. So you can just drop it somewhere there. So that is our traffic light. Then we click on it, we edit the properties of the traffic light. So let me move it this way. So since this is our traffic light and we are going to be having different phases, so we have to, which intersection do we want the traffic light for? The current one we're having with PKs. So then we have something like this. So but we want a traffic light where we will be able to have the yellow. So let's so we have the yellow, we have the red, then we have the yellow again, then we have the red. So then we have the yellow this way. Since we have four roads, so it's something whereby we need to be able to edit in a way where it will be able to accommodate all. So one, two, three, four. So that means, let's say for example, this is not the actual realistic traffic lights. I'll be making a video strictly on traffic light when it comes to Anylogic. But for this, let's just assume here we have it. You can double click to change the color. This is green. So we can change the number of seconds to, let's say, 40 seconds. So we have 40 seconds, and after the 40 seconds we have the green, the yellow, sorry. So we have the beeping of the yellow light before it changes to red again. So let's also change this to 40. Sorry. So let's change what we have. We have 40. Then here also we have 40, and for the last part we have. So what we're trying to do is there is going to be movement at the intersection, one lane at a time. That is what we're trying to do. So when it is green, every other thing will stay red, or green will stay red. Then the second lane here will be green and every other thing stays red. This green and this green. So we have something of this nature. So you can see when I click on the first one, this is green. So when this is green, other stays red. So that means there will be movement to the true lane, the right turn lane, and the left turn lane at this point. But every other thing stays red. So at the second point, here stays green. So every other lanes are red. In most cases, in most cities, we know that there is usually movement between the two opposite roads. That is, when this is green, this is also green, and when the west is green, the east road is also green in that sense. But for the sake of this, we're going to be using this for now. In the next video, we'll be able to create a traffic light in a realistic form, whereby I'll be able to explain more on that. So with this being said, with all these things being in place, so let us try to run the simulation. So we can see here we have the green. When it is green, you can see there are movements. So here we have, see, they stay red, so they have to wait the stop. Then there could be movement around the green. So after 40 seconds, there will be, we can have the movement around every other parts of the road when this changes back to red. So this is just for us to see the introduction of the introduction and we can see, which is basically different from what we used to have. Here it's also green now, different from what we used to have. And at this point, here's red. So here's red, and there is movement along this road. So, and after a while, this also changes back to red, and another road becomes green, and there will be movement along that road. So the next thing we're going to be doing now is the introduction of the road network descriptor, and that is just for us to be able to see the density map, the introduction of, to enable the density map into the window. And here we have it. So we can just be can put it here anywhere you want to put it, but just close to the point of the intersections, and then we can edit the properties. So here we have it. It says the road network. Which one? So we click the road network, the actual road network we're working on, and the enable density map here. We toggle it on, so we have it. So this is all done and dusted. We can close this, so we can be able to run the simulation again and see. So we can see the density map is already enabled. You can see, which is quite different from what we used to have, showing in different colors. So here we have it, the density map. So the road network descriptor in form of the density map is already included. And yeah, with this we can move on to the next phase. So the next phase, or the next step we're going to be looking into, is changing it from a 2D to a 3D. So currently what we have here is a 2D, so we need to be able to change it to a 3D. And in order to do that, we go under presentation. Here we have the 3D window, so we can just drag it into the window. So here is the 3D, and not just only that, we need to also be able to include, let me or probably let's just let me move the 3D here. Also be able to include buildings into the window, and also in order to do that, we can see here we have the 3D objects. We click on the 3D object, people, buildings, so we can click on the building. So we have different buildings where we can introduce. So let's assume we have this auto service. I can drag the auto service around here. We click on yes. So just along the road, just give it a second. Why is it taking so long? So now the Opto service is already there. So if we also want to include more, we can see there are different buildings, every possible buildings. If we want to also want to include a household at any part of the road, we can also do that. We can drag it in. So it's already there. If there is going to be a need for an hospital, we can maybe put it around here. Yes. So we have it, but it's intersecting with the road, so you can just move it back a bit. So if we want to turn it around, have it this way, it can also, you can also put it this way. If you want to increase it, if you want to reduce it, the size. If you also want it looking this way, but want them to move back a bit. So whatever it is we want to include, whenever we want to have a factory, we can have it here. Yes. Then a building, we have buildings, so you can have another building here. So it depends on whatever we want. You can just keep including as much as we want. Can, so we want to move it closer. So you can have this. Let's say another building. You don't want to have it on this road. Yes. So you can see just including them around the road network. So after all this, we would have to run the model to see if the simulation reflects the 3D model, and also the introduction of all these other 3D objects we've included in the simulation or in the model. So let us see. So here we have it. This is still in the 2D form. So let us try to, so you can just click on this, look at it based on 3D, window 3D. So here we have it 3D. So you can see the buildings we included. These are the buildings we added to it. You can see just the hospital, the buildings, the factory, and there's still movement when it comes to using the traffic lights. They're still not effective. So if you want to toggle it around, like want to turn it this way, we already explained on how we do this. So use the let mouse button to move it around. Just move it around. So that explains that. So after doing all this, we can see that the only thing we've had so far is vehicles or cars moving into the model. So we want a case whereby we can be able to have other types of vehicles. We have trucks, we have bus in the model. And in order to do that, the first thing we have to do is we have to go under the help. Then we check for example models, because there are some example models that we can easily import into our model here. So we click on that. So at this point now, so under the search button here, we can put in the city square because there are some things from that example where we can import the vehicle. So we look for city square. We have the city square, then we load it. So after loading the city square, so we want to be able to some of the bus, the truck we have here, the bus, the car, the truck we have here, we want to be able to export it into our current model. And in order to do that, we just click on it, we copy. After copying, we come under our own traffic intersection model that we are creating. Then we can paint. So we have the bus in. So we do the same thing also with the car, we copy. Then so we also paste the car. Then we do the same thing for truck also, we copy. Then come under our own intersection, then we paste. So now when we have this, we can go ahead and edit each of the elements. Then so we change this to none. So we also do the same thing for the vehicle. It's already none. We go for not the truck. Also we change this to none. Extend other agents. You have it as none. So after doing this, we can decide to close the city square that we've opened. We can just, because when we check our main, so we can just decide to close this. So this is our current window, and also the city square we have here, we can also close it. So having this now, so after doing that, the next thing we are going to do is to be able to introduce the bus, the car, and the truck into our model. And in order to do that, when we look at the first source, the car source here, when we go under the properties, we check out the properties we have for it. When and also looking under the agents, we can see we have the bus, the car, and the truck. We have it here, so we can change the first one to bus. So that means what we'll have there is the movement of the bus into the model. Bus truck, we also want to be able to introduce car. We've been able to do that for the bus. So that means we also need to create another car source from this. So that means you can easily copy, then paste, creating another car source. So so the only difference is when we edit this, the properties, The first one is already bus, so with the next one will be can be car. So we just change from bus, then we can change to car. So we don't alter any other thing. We don't change any other thing. So that is just the only thing we have to include. So just changing it to car, it's already there. So we can close. So what we do is we connect this to this. And again, we can also still create another one, paste. So we have the third one. We have to delete this connector. So for the third one now, it can be, that will be truck, because the first one is bus, the second one is car, and the third one can be truck. So we have the truck here. So the truck is there, so we can close this and the connector to this. So that means on the west road now, when we run this model, then we'll see that we'll have different types of cars in the west road. That is, we have the normal cars, we have the truck, and we also will be having the bus. We can also proceed by doing the same thing for that of the castles, for the east, the north, and the south. But I think for now, let's just do that for the east road. So what we do is we create a copy and we paste, and we still paste one other one, paste. So at this point, so for the first one, we go under the properties. So we can change it to like any one of it we want to. If let the first one be boss, the first one can be boss. So then the next one we can have it as, the next one we can have it as the car. Then the last one would definitely be the truck. So now that we have been able to do for the three of them, we can also use the connector to connect in. So that means for the west road and the east road, we'll know that we'll have the different types of vehicles in the simulation. So let us try this out and see. So here we can see the vehicles. We can see the truck. We can see the bus, both from the west and the east side. You can see, and we so here we can see the bus. No, the bus here trying to change lane. We have the truck, and the same thing also for this other road. So you can see. So in a nutshell, this is just a representation of the section, and also the introduction of our traffic light, the introduction of our buses, the vehicle flow into the model and running the simulation. So in the other videos, like I said, we'll still be able to look more into the traffic light. Like the traffic light we made use of in this simulation is a little bit different from the the realistic one that we do use. So what we try to do is we'll try to create one based on the realistic view by changing the properties for the right turn lane, the left turn lane, not just having one is green and the rest are red at the points, but being able to uh, have it in a realistic view. So we'll be able to do that in the next videos, and also we'll also be able to look into one or two more examples or tutorial videos more on the Anylogic before we proceed to another new aspect. So I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you.